Leader, if I told you that you're not mean, you're just managing, I wonder what you'd think about that. I wonder what would resonate for you with that statement. Because here's what I know to be true. One of the lies that keeps leaders muzzled and stuck in their sandbox in the workplace, it's thinking that giving direct feedback actually makes them mean. Giving direct feedback makes you a manager. It doesn't make you mean. And if they think that you're mean because you give direct feedback, who gives a darn? There's a way that you can work through that. But letting your discomfort drive silence in the workplace, your discomfort around giving direct feedback, that's actually costlier than any conflict that you would have. It's costlier in the workplace. So again, in this episode, you're not mean, you're just managing. In our part 2 of our 6-part series on the communication lies that leaders believe, that myth actually ends today in the Sandbox. Lie versus truth. Let's dive into it. If I'm honest, they'll think I'm harsh. That's the lie that you're probably telling yourself. Silence isn't kindness, it's sabotage. And here's something interesting. If 69% of managers avoid giving direct feedback, that means 7 out of 10 leaders are allowing confusion to grow versus giving clarity and direct feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. And I love what Craig Groeschel says. Feedback isn't dreadful, it's opportunity. So how are you embracing that feedback with your team, even when it's uncomfortable? It doesn't have to be dreadful. It doesn't have to be fear-filled. It doesn't have to be, oh my, what if, right? Get rid of the what ifs about what they think about you. Stop worrying about that and get into the what you want from them and give them the direct, clear feedback you need so that they can be successful. Because at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the day, that's what every single one of your people want in your workplace. They want to be successful. That's it. I don't believe people come to work not to be successful. Show me that person, and I'll show you the leader that failed them because they didn't show them what the possibility was. Probably from a leader that believed the lie and the myth that giving direct feedback might make them mean and that people are going to perceive them as mean. And it comes back to this as well as why the root cause of why we avoid giving direct feedback and what happens when we avoid it. Let's talk about that, because when we're worried about hurting feelings or losing the likability factor in the workplace, we're failing. When leaders stay silent, the teams struggle. They flounder. They're treading water in uncertainty and resentment, and that builds, right? That resentment builds, and underperformance becomes the normal, and it becomes the one area that pushes your top performers out of your organization. Dr. Henry Cloud has great insight on this. And he says this: leaders must seek reality and not deny it. One CEO in his book, Integrity, actually asked for feedback, calling it a gift, kingdom at work. Here's the truth, friends. Courage is clarity's best friend. Where's your courage today to step into the truth that needs to be told, even if it makes you uncomfortable? Part of this, I want to push pause on this and put a pin in it, is what I'd like to do in this moment. Here's what I want to say about this. If you're uncomfortable about giving direct feedback, you need to find somebody that can help you to work through that discomfort, because that discomfort makes everything more about you than it does about the person that you say that you want to perform different, the person that you're trying to help in the workplace, the student or the colleague or the individual that you're trying to lead, mentor, guide. If you're making it all about you, it's not about them. And then it becomes self-serving for you. And then everyone loses in that moment. Think about that. Courage is clarity's best friend. So we know that clarity is kindness. So that courage is in alignment to bring the clarity into the workplace. You're not mean when you give direct feedback. You're managing, you're leading, you're mentoring, you're empowering people to be able to step into the boldness that you're creating in your workplace. Now, listen, here's the framework that I want you to use, because it's not just going in and blowing people out of the water. I want you to speak direct, but I want you to stay human. So what's that look like? Well, we all know the SBIE model, right? Situation, behavior, impact plus expectation. That framework works. Situation, behavior, impact, right? Plus expectation. Here's how the role play goes. Situation. In yesterday's all hands on meeting, Here's the behavior. You interrupted without letting others finish so you could get your point across. And the impact is it shut down critical ideas and it shut down people that I wanted to hear from. Next time, right? The next time, you know how much I love the next time, push pause and listen before you speak. Let others go first. You don't always need to be the first one to go. That's a great way to give direct feedback to shut down or silence the individual in the room that might be over talking others. Here's the reality. This is not about who you are. It's about what you did. And I expect a reset. Perfect way to be real and wrap up the SBIE conversation when you're giving direct feedback. See, when clarity meets courage, here's what that looks like. Real leaders pick their words with purpose, not with fear. They normalize direct, kind feedback. Then they understand that it's leadership gold. It's not a problem to do that. It's how you do it, right? As Craig Groeschel also says, separate the do from the who. The do from the who. How about that? That's power mic drop right there. Breaking the habit of equating feedback with the identity of the individual. Take it off the personality, put it onto the problem, put it onto the behavior that they're exhibiting, not the person, not the personality. Take it off that and put it onto the behavior. And that's what the SBIE model actually gives you in the opportunity to give direct feedback. And yes, it is about what hat are you wearing. If you're stuck wearing the friend hat, or you're stuck wearing the accidental therapist hat all the time because that's what the team has come to know you for, you're not going to be able to give that direct feedback that people are wanting in your workplace. Silence is not leadership. It's convenience for you, not the other people. You're not mean for saying what needs to be said. You're managing with intention. So let's quit feeding misinformation. Let's quit feeding the storyline in your head that you're mean if you're being direct. Let's lead. Let's lead the truth, right? Let's lead with clarity. Let's lead with setting the clear expectations. Remember, you're not mean. You're just managing. Now, there's somebody in my audience that needed to hear that today that wants to be able to have more bold conversations in the workplace. I want you to hit subscribe and share this episode. And I want you to head on over to Leadership Sandbox /groups, leadershipsandbox.com/groups, actually. And I want you to get on the wait list for our next group that's starting in September, because great leaders don't wait for permission to lead, to learn, and to leverage. They step in with intention and they put strong people around them that call them up to be greater than the way that they look in the mirror and see themselves as. Get into one of our groups today. You will be transformed for doing it, for saying yes to you, to lead different in the sandbox. Stop waiting for you to give permission to yourself. Step in and do it. You're not being mean. You're just managing. Let's learn how to give that direct feedback that gets those results. Make it a great day. God bless.
Thanks for joining us in the Leadership Sandbox today. Are you ready to get serious about disrupting those old habits and building a culture you're proud of? Head over to leadershipsandbox.com/groups to get on the wait list for our upcoming mastermind groups starting in September. Culture doesn't change alone, and neither should you. Did this episode resonate with you? We'd love if you'd give it a like and a share. Be a part in helping us spread our reach to other leaders who could benefit from hearing this message. Also, subscribe to this podcast so you can continue to gain great leadership content weekly. Until next time, we'll see you in the Sandbox.